Hello and welcome to the Voluntary Virtues Network. My name is Mario and I'll be something surrounding the state. Today my guest is a school teacher by the name of Thomas Junne. He's an anarchist, anarchist,
Well, hi, Michael. We still have some sound issues here, but fine. I'm happy to join you.
I'm happy you could be here with such a short notice.
No,
Uh,
no problem. Of course.
So we should be talking about the Danish school system. Um, how,
Yeah.
do you, how did you want to start? How did you decide to become a teacher?
How I decided to get a teacher. Well, to become a teacher is kind of a random, by random chance. I needed some sort of education and a better foothold in my work. And in order to get that, I I had to pick between something that I was passionate about doing, and I had been working with adult people with brain damages and the like for a couple of years. So pedagogical measures was my tool. So I decided that either teaching or just further on pedagogical stuff was the way to go for me. And the coin ended up on teacher, which I'm happy about.
Ah, that's what did you work with? Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
What did you work with? Where did you work with brain damaged people?
Well, I actually still do while studying for teaching and while working as a teacher. I do a lot of things, and it's at an institution, a mental institution, which it isn't really called. It is a living collective of which is mainly for people with physical and mental handicaps.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But then the teaching happened, and I signed up for school, and I well for teach, and I per internet as well. I not strictly on internet, but uh, we meet up once a month for a couple of days, and then the rest of the time we do work in study groups over internet. E-learning is called. So yeah, that's the way of doing it.
But doesn't the the school kind of it's it's more like a whole different system than
Well, it's
philosophy
kind of
teaches.
kind, kind of a home teaching system, but with an editor on the other side giving us the tasks to perform. So he's looking up texts that we have to read, and then he's giving us study questions to answer, which amounts to a couple of pages of work every week that we have to discuss and get find some good answers to and quote sources and academia and academic boring dusty stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I could imagine that. I wasn't very fond of school.
Well, I'm fond of school and fond of learning new things, but the academic bit with quoting sources instead of actually thinking about why things work and trying to put all of these things that you learn into a context where you actually use it is much more interesting to me. So instead of mining for quotes and finding out why what I'm doing is a good thing, I just like to show that it's a good thing and that it makes sense. So my anarchistic nature shines through at school too.
Well, that's a pretty good thing.
Well, it gives bad grades, but but it's but it makes me do with my teaching what I can instead of looking at the books, I look at what I can do.
Well, that's a pretty good thing.
Well, it floats the boat at least.
Well, I would have loved to have a teacher back when I was in public school
Well,
because
I hope so. See,
uh,
the thing is, children don't really acknowledge the kind of teacher they want. That's one of the difficulties about teaching, no matter who you are, is that children in school, as it works right now in Denmark or any other place, is that the children are asked to sit down and pay attention to whatever you have to say. And even if you're a guy like me who's pretty anarchistic and doesn't demand a lot of order and attention and all that, some attention is still needed, and some drive towards Lee instead of talking to the guy next to you, and instead of throwing paper at people, is still needed. And uh, so yes, if I had a lot of children who were, yay, I have this great teacher. Let's listen to what he has to say. I am interested in this. Let's listen to what this guy that can talk about it has to say. That would be lovely. But those children are hard to come by in schools, as most children are used to teaching being boring and teaching being something you're forced to be doing.
Yeah, yeah, it was the same back when I was in school. So how do you catch the attention?
Yeah, see, that's the thing. I'm still working on that. I've only been working for about a year, and what I've been confronted mostly. I mean, I have one eighth grade where I've actually been told that what I did with them one time at least was more fun than being being able to do whatever to do. Which was when I bent the rules a little bit, and I used this card game, this Cards Against Humanity. If you don't know it, you should look it up. Which is a pretty fun and very uh, socially unacceptable game with a lot of words and a lot of stuff that children shouldn't be exposed to, according to their parents at least. But we were doing, but we were doing a subject called about humor, and this was a part of the exercise, and they were having a lot of fun with it for 2 hours straight. They would just sit concentrated and they've warmed pretty well up to me in that grade. Uh, but otherwise, I mean, what I've been confronted with is that they are confused to as to why I don't yell at them. They don't understand that which I take to mean that children are so used to adults and teachers being people yell and scold and do all these things, and if they don't, the language just I don't know, disappears. They can't understand the situation they're in. They don't understand that they have to sit down and follow the teaching if nobody yells at them and tells them to, which is disturbing to me.
Yeah, it's pretty sad.
Mm. Which is also why I'm wondering if a guy like you in his younger years would be paying attention, because to be frank, you might just be one of the guys that thought, hey, yay, this guy isn't yelling at me. I can do whatever I want, which is what I get a lot. So it's a long grind of earning trust and of earning interest, and that take a while, because the interesting stuff you can do in school again requires a lot of concentration and a lot of interest to begin with, which isn't there, to be quite honest.
Yeah, I wasn't one of those that paid attention at all. I hate
Yeah,
I was bullied, so I spent most of my time in school.
yeah.
So I got nothing out of school at all, learning how to be a victim. So
Yeah, well, see, there you go. I mean,
yeah,
for interesting, well, for instance, something interesting to do could be like a size where you got to work in a group with building a model of something, and then saying something about this model, making experiments, and then talking about them. Easy, fun tasks to do. But if you're in a classroom with people who would more likely be hitting each other over the head with the stuff that should use for building things, you're not going anywhere. So you have to start somewhere, and you have to build up this interest and this well, discipline in the best and kindest sense of the word, which is, I would like to listen to this guy. Discipline, not sit down and shut up. Discipline. This, I would love to actually learn from you. Discipline, and that has to come from somewhere. When I get that nut cracked, I'll get back to you.
Yeah, I'll be listening to that.
Yeah.
That's following that. That's a good topic.
Well, and I think that's pretty much the roots of why you get this authoritarian rule of view of what school is. You have the you have the teachers who are desperate to get this order in the classroom. You need some sort of working environment where you're able to share your ideas, you're able to get people to do your tasks, and you want them to pretty much follow you blindly. And there's not a lot of ways to go about that. So I mean, there's entire courses in how to use special signals to get everyone to quiet down, and so that's I think that's why you get this taste of authoritarianism in school, because it doesn't it really have anything to do with the state in the sense that the state makes the school. The state doesn't want you to be authoritarian. That's just what happens when you need to get ordered from like 24 to 30 young people at the same time. It's difficult.
Yeah, and it's not like well, normal teachers don't like questions, not rules. It's not like
Well, that depends. I actually have a funny story from today about questions. I had this math test that I was asked to do on the on a class, and one of the children didn't really understand why he had to do this test because I frequently had got uh, stuff back from them that I would correct, and so he figured that I could easily see how he fared in math without giving me this test. So he is in the best passive aggressive way, just sitting there, doesn't do the test at all. And again, this is where the difficulty comes in for the anarchist, because I secretly want to applaud that. I I secretly think that is awesome to that young and actually be able to just go, you know what, I don't see the point of this. You already know what I can do with math. I don't need to test. I'm not going to do it. That is that is cool. If that's the point of what he's actually doing. I mean, he could be lazy. There could be all sorts of other things about it. But just actually thinking that I don't have whatever this system tells me to do, because if it doesn't matter, I'm not doing it. That's pretty okay. uh, Again, it's gonna give me a lot of trouble when I correct the correct the stuff, because it's yeah. Um,
at least he has some good influence.
well, I don't think that's my influence. That's himself, because I would love him to do that. It's some easy tasks, and it's it can't be all anarchy when teaching maths.
Sure,
Uh, well,
why
uh,
wouldn't it?
well, because because I still have the job of arranging a set of tasks and a set of things to go through, which is supposed to be making these children at math, for instance, or at language or whatever. So my job is to make them better at math, not so much to make them better at anarchy, which I'd love to. I mean, I'd love to do social sciences, or whatever you call it in English. But I at this point don't have the guts to go in and ask people to go and allow me to go in and teach pure. Here's anarchy for. I don't want to be too propagandist in school. I mean, I know that my views are very anti totalitarianism, and that usually propaganda in school is pro totalitarianism. But I still don't want to be as an authority figure in a classroom telling people what they should believe. So you kind of have to teach the controversy, and also, yeah, in the best possible way. It's a bit like teaching atheism in a religion classroom, which is well, controversial at best.
Well, you're not really teaching atheism or anarchy. You're just teaching to question it.
Yeah, exactly. Which I acknowledge again. I'm on the shoulder. I say, you know what? I think it's a good. I think it's a good skepticism. I would still very much prefer that it was being done. Uh,
Yeah, but
Again,
that's negotiation, so that's
well,
okay.
exactly. That's it's. I in no way am I going to point at him and tell him to sit down and do the test. I mean, the consequence is that there's going to be a lot of errors, and an answer that isn't there is considered an error in these tests, and they know that full well. But again, civil disobedience is taking the consequences well. So I applaud that in as far as it goes. But I would like to see the the math done as well.
Sure, it's
Yeah.
up to do what you get paid for, as long as
Well,
you're not
yeah.
morally wrong.
Exactly. Which I don't think I am. Not yet. Uh, Not yet.
You're not teaching them to love the state. So I couldn't see how that could be wrong.
Definitely not. And I don't think anyone does. I mean, the I haven't met a lot of people in one group yet that has been as good as my teaching colleagues at not liking the state. Whenever something comes, I mean, we teachers are a bunch of people who think that helping children understand certain things will aid them in their lives. Are usually people who care about children. Uh,
So it's
and
not all crap in Denmark as it is
no, I mean,
most of everywhere else.
I don't think it's a bit like the Lars Andersen interview last time. It's not. I mean, cops aren't there to annoy you. They think at least that they are there to protect you, and then
Yeah. But
stuff happens.
it's pretty hard to keep that thought of protecting
It,
someone when you're beating the shit out of them.
It is, but I mean,
So.
it's and that's what. Yeah, okay. And again, I don't think that all cops are beating the shit out of people. I know some people who are cops in their private life. Again, you lower the flag sometimes and talk to people, and I mean, people are there to try to do a good job, and that fits with their worldviews. And most teachers just try to help children. That's really what they want to do. It's been some years since the teaching job had this authority and respect about it that would make people have the job to be respected. That's I don't know some 30, 20, 30, 50 years ago, teachers and doctors would have this respect. As long as you were a teacher or a doctor, people would just have to say, "Oh, he's a teacher and doctor. He's a cool guy. We must respect him. We must do what he says." So that war hunger isn't sated by being a teacher anymore. So I don't think those people go there at this point. Right now I don't meet anyone at least that aren't there to help the children. So whenever something comes from the government, we're skeptic. I mean we it's not long ago. It's about a year ago that we had this in Denmark with all the teachers being out there because stuff came from. Teachers generally think that they have a pretty good way of going about their job, and they don't like being told by government what they should do. Uh,
It has caused a lot of problems. The government entails.
it does, and it always does. And then there are some people like me. That's a small voice in the office, but it's still there that goes, well, it always causes problems. So don't listen to government at all. But at least they don't listen to government when it comes to teaching. I mean, now there will be some things happening from as a repercussion from that strike and from those reforms, and it's slowly creeping in there. The big socialist state taking the children to school 8 hours a day, every day of the week. Just for everyone out there in the world who doesn't know about this reform, used to be so that teachers had hours that they needed to work, 37 hours work week, and some of those it would be like 25 to 30 hours would be in a classroom, and then the rest would be their own time, and they could just put their own time whatever they wanted to work in the evenings or on the weekends or whatever. But now teachers have to work at school always, and therefore need to be at school a lot more because then they have to be taught by someone. Uh, so yeah, the teachers want fans of taking away the children's freedom as well. The teachers know that children need free time, and now they're not getting that, at least not in all the schools. So yeah, with general skepticism toward government is what I find among teachers. But again, yeah, they do sign a lot of paychecks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, do you have ideas for privatizing the school system?
Well, yeah, I'm silently working on my own ideas. For I, this is me. I've only been a teacher for a year, and I'm already thinking, you know what, I could build a better school. And so my idea is to go about this whole attention getting process by generally making the school system into something that reminds me a bit of YouTube and an experimentarium, uh, fusion. It's like, imagine if teachers just prepared stuff, prepared like shop for a couple of hours, um, one or two workshops for a couple hours each every day of the week. So, for instance, I would come out and say, well, I'm preparing. We're gonna have a football tournament. Whatever. I'm gonna prepare a football tournament, and it's gonna be from 8 o'clock. And whoever wants to join my football tournament shows up. See, in this scenario, nobody who joins my football tournament will be there because they have to. They will be there because they're actually interested in participating. And then afterward, my next workshop could be something like math for nerds, and I could do equations, and I could do interesting stuff that would be difficult for people to understand if they were in the mindset that everything is difficult and they have to be forced to understand this stuff. But instead, people would show up that were interested in learning more about how can I solve difficult equations, um, and it would be like free age wise and everything would be welcome everywhere. I mean, I know that equations wouldn't be interesting to a 7-year-old, but they would be welcome nonetheless, and I could find some math for them to do. Now, if you had like 10 teams that each had a workshop that you could sign up for and show up to at the same time, and you could just go freely wherever you wanted to go, and you could also not go anywhere. I mean, if you chose to sit in a corner and play on your friends, well, that's what because we're getting anything out of you as long as you're not interested.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, I know the first thing that pops into my head and to other people's head when I mention this model is, well, isn't it a bit risky to just let children loose and just ask them to do whatever they want to do? And what if someone never learns to read? And I go, well, what if someone never learns to read in the current system? Some people can easily sit in the back of the classroom and not do a thing for 10 years. It's possible in the current system, and as long as they sit there in this system, they just annoy everyone else and they annoy the teacher. They make everything difficult for the people who could learn something. Instead of just having that slight bit of freedom and then coming back, you get ADHD, you get autisms from children who just don't want to be sat still, do
Yeah.
what they're told. So you could probably go about that, and there will be all sorts of fail-safe stuff. I'm thinking if you had that idea, you have 200 school days a year. 3 workshops every day should be attended for everyone, and if you just do half of that, that's 3,000 workshops in 10 years. That's just half attendance, and I'm pretty damn sure that if you can do 3,000 workshops, you will have prepared yourself for some sort of exam. You should be able to do something with that. I'm pretty sure that would hold up. That's my current project. I need a lot of money to to back that up, and my next step is to talk to like welfare organizations. Well, not welfare organizations. What was it called? The foreign help organizations, people who help children in need and save the child, or whatever they call it in English. I don't know. That's my next plan of action, to go and search for funding. with people who actually have money and time, which I don't have myself a lot of. But that would be my, yeah.
It sounds pretty interesting.
Thank you. I was put on to the idea by a musician who wrote ADHD symptoms and about increased medication of children, and yeah, we basically have a system where children get puffed full of amphetamine, uh,
Yeah.
which is healthy. I can't I don't see any good sides. But I asked him what would children be doing. He because he posed this question. We have this system where sat down and taught things that they are not ready or ready to be taught or interested in teaching or learn. So of course they're going to have these symptoms. And I asked them, well, okay, if you have, suppose you had the school where you're not teaching children ready to do, and you're not teaching children that they're not interested in, what are the children doing? And he didn't know that. So I went ahead and thought about that. In fact, it's a very old idea. Ancient Greece was built up like this. School in ancient Greece meant freedom. You had children didn't have to go to work, were free. They were allowed to walk around with a guy with a slave with them. Okay, you had slave. Okay, good kind of in Greece. There was a certain slave that was appointed to walking the child around town, and whenever they were off duty, they go and experience things and go and talk to a philosopher, go and play with the other children, experience and grow. That was school in ancient Greece, and I would really like to see that realized in a modern day system.
Yeah, I was diagnosed with ADHD when I was 23 or something like that.
Yeah.
I took the pills for a month and then I threw them out. They were horrible.
Oh,
I'm never gonna give my kids those.
that's horrible.
Yeah,
Okay.
I got insanely high for a month.
Whoa.
I could, but I was pretty strong as well. I was talking to
Would it help you concentrate at all, or just
No, I was gone.
that was, yeah, that's, well, at least you weren't disturbing anyone, and that's the important thing in
I
school,
was.
isn't it? Oh, okay, well,
I was in an
yeah,
institution, so
yeah.
uh, yeah, a Christian institution. They were kind of forcing me to take the pills until I just
Oh,
off.
yeah. Well, Christian, that's a whole different bag of worms. I have a lot of stuff on Christianity too. That's for a different interview. Yeah.
Yeah, we're almost up as well. The two
Yeah.
minutes left.
Well, any more interesting points? Any questions that we should go
I
through?
have a lot of questions, but I think there's too little time to get
Well, give me the
through
best
all
one.
of the best one. Best one. I'm not sure about that. Did we cover the Facebook questions?
Well, not really. I think I skated over a couple of them during the speech.
Yeah, we'll have to continue this another time
Well,
then.
fine.
It took a minute of the time.
Well, speaking machine gets started. There's no stopping it. This is why I'm no funnies. Yeah.
But these people learn something.
Well, hopefully. So
Yeah,
school not as bad as you might think, but circumstances make it worse.
yeah. But well, I'd like to thank you for joining me again.
No problem.
This was interesting. Uh, I'll,
Happy.
I'm looking forward to maybe doing it again sometime.
Well, please, whenever you want, contact me.
Awesome.
Yeah. All right. Well then, bye.